Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Unscripted and Unchained RPG Review. I am Game Master Bloodworth, and as you can see by the graphics, tonight's video I'm going to be answering a question which I wasn't quite anticipating, but the question has come up, and the question was, why did I choose not to be a D&D 5e focused channel? And the explanation for that is actually, in some ways kind of simple, and in other ways a little bit more nuanced. So let me get into kind of the history of my channel. So I first returned to tabletop role playing games back in 2015. I was coming out of MMOs. I was coming out of playing consistently for about 12 years, massively multiplayer RPGs, and all of the AAA games. I had played in virtually every single one of them. So, or like I said, virtually all of them. Probably about 90% of them, and I kind of got burnt out on that after 12 years or so, and I decided that I wanted to get back into the tabletop role playing hobby. And my initial game for doing so was not 5e because it wasn't quite out at the time, or at least I did not have it at the time. This would have been 2015, and I didn't get my copies of D&D 5th edition until about, I want to say, September-ish or somewhere around then. I got the first printings. I got them from Amazon at like 40% off, or maybe even higher. I mean, I think I paid $17 each and maybe 21 for the more expensive one. And so I didn't spend a whole lot on them. And for that first year, so going from 2015 through 2016, I had played 5th edition several times, probably about half a dozen times, with three different characters and about four different. I'm sorry, not about four different characters and three different dungeon masters. And during the course of those, first couple of months of playing 5th edition, I wasn't really feeling the game system. To me, it had almost no nostalgic feel for when I first played Dungeons and Dragons. It just didn't feel like Dungeons and Dragons to me. Um, having had come out of massively multiplayer, RPGs, and I don't want to say that it emulated that to the extent that 4E did, intentionally so. Um, but 5e still had a bit of that feel to it. And so as my channel was lumbering along through 2015 and into 2016, mostly 2016, I might have actually created it in 2015 and put my first video up in 2016. That first year, my channel, which had a different name to it and a different potentially focus to it, was only had like 36 subs. And then came along 2016, December 30th of 2016, and then I renamed my channel Unscripted and Unchained RPG Review. And the reason why I renamed it was because I was going to take the channel into an intentional direction, and I was going to delve into new games, whether they be computer games, MMOs, or tabletop role playing games, and show you my reaction as I first introduce myself to that new game system. And that's why I called it, it was unscripted because I was just going right off the cuff with it. And then the Unchained part was that you were going to see the true, my true reaction, my very genuine reaction to these new systems. And so that started to become much more of my focus, and I really enjoyed it to the point that it became obvious to me that the niche that I would look to cut was not tied to any one game system, uh, irregardless of the fact that by far the most popular game system for YouTube channels to be live streaming and to be analyzing and to be talking about and all of that, was 5e. Clearly 5e during those years. And I'm just going to switch views here so that I can make my next point. If you look behind me, you see 50 years worth of tabletop role-playing games that I had owned back in the day. I had to repurchase virtually everything that I have behind me. I owned them back in the day. I played them back in the day. I played them extensively back in the day. And yet, as I came into that 2015, 2016 time frame, I started introducing myself to newer game systems, and and just started collecting them, reading them, in some cases playing them and running them, and it just became the area that I wanted my channel to focus on. I have a wide variety of interests, whether it be science fiction or fantasy. I like all forms of both, so I like all forms of fantasy, whether it be low fantasy or high fantasy, weird fantasy. I science fiction, very much the same thing. I like horror in both kinds of both genres as well, and horror as its own separate genre from that. And so you can only get that kind of exposure by really expanding the scope of the games that you're going to take a look at, and just multiple publishers, and many of those publishers do publish more than one game system that they publish, and so forth. So I mean, you particularly see that with like Modifius or Free League. There are others. Palladium produces 2 or 3 different game systems that they run, whether it be Rifts or Palladium Fantasy or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So you get a nice spread of different different types of gaming that are going on there as well, and that's what I wanted my channel to focus on. Now I know that some people will be like, oh, if you started out in 2016 and you focused on 5e, your channel might have 10,000, 50,000, maybe even 100,000. I seriously doubt it, because I don't really package my videos to that level and those kinds of production values that are going to attract and keep that many people engaged in your thing. Although I think my content is engaging in the sense that it's engaging on a more intellectual level, on a more authentic level. I am not digging into games that I don't own myself, haven't run myself, and or haven't extensively read before, I come out here and start, really boosting them and talking like you should buy this kind of, this game. But yeah, it just wasn't a big desire of mine to basically ride on the coattails of just one game system and to focus all of my energy on that. I wouldn't enjoy playing any game system exclusively, and I certainly didn't enjoy D&D 5e. It just wasn't meant for me um, to latch on to that and to run with that exclusively for certain. And it's one of the few game systems that that I tried it quite a few times and decided that this is just not the game system for me. There's not many that I get to that point. I'm not trying to say that it is inherently a bad game system. I'm just saying it was just never for me. It wasn't the I am not its target audience. I'm not talking about my age or anything like that. It's just what I look for in a game isn't there. When I picked it up, and then I've picked up other game systems that are similar to it, it doesn't bring me back to my first experiences when I started playing Dungeons and Dragons. Certainly not to the same extent as playing some of my older systems. That obviously is going to bring me right back into that nostalgic feel because I'm like, all right, this is really cool. I remember playing this back then. So yeah, it's not going to have that kind of an impact on me as I reminisce about those time frames. But even the newer OSR retro clones, you know, still do bring me back to that kind of a feel. Perfect example is Shadow Dark, and I know I once in a while, and I'll have people come at me and say, "Oh, you're always boasting about Shadow Dark." Um, the first time that I read the PDF of Shadow Dark, it kind of took me back to old school gaming immediately, and so and that's the kind of thing that I like my channel to really focus on. My channel is really meant to provide you a place where you can come to and and you won't know what to expect from me as far as or from this channel delving into a new game system. I'm sure and I'm hopeful that every once in a while I'll surprise you and I'll be like, hey, you know what? I haven't seen this game in ages. Thanks for bringing it up. I get comments from videos that I put up 3 years ago or more sometimes, and they'll jump in. They'll be like, oh my gosh, I played this game back in the day, and I just discovered your channel. Can you talk a little bit more about this now? And that's what my channel has always been about. It's been about being that place where you can go and you can see a great mix of different game systems and systems that are both old and current as well. So again, I hope that answers that question. A really, really, very valid question. Why I chose to go this route, even though I could have done, I could have much larger numbers on my thing, although I am absolutely floored and grateful for my 3,100 subscribers. And yes, I do hope that the channel continues to grow because that means that more and more people are discovering my channel and, and they're deciding to subscribe and comments from my subscribers and those that are just passing through really do help me generate content going forward. And so I really appreciate comments more so than anything else. you coming into the channel and you making a comment, suggestions, take a look at this, or questions like this, which actually didn't come through the channel, it came from outside the channel, but questions like this are questions that make me think about my relation with the hobby as a whole. And I consider YouTubing to be a hobby. It is my secondary hobby between running games and doing videos. That is kind of my entire source of hobby time, in my life. So these are the only two things that I really do focus on as far as my leisure time. So again, I hope that answers the question. Thank you so much for this question, and always feel free to just come onto the channel and drop comments in the comments section, ask questions, direct me to go take a look at various things, and that's what this channel is all about. A large variety, very inclusive of game types and game genres and game mechanic systems and people coming in with different views about the hobby as well. I've always welcomed that on my channel and in my comment sections, and so keep those coming at all times. Thank you so much for stopping in. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you hadn't subscribed, please consider subscribing. And I look forward to seeing you on a gaming screen sometime soon, or in or at a convention, or at a table at a local library. I know I've been talking about this a little bit over the last 2 weeks or so, and I'm looking to still get out there and hit the local library and see what space is available for that kind of use. I also have a local gaming shop that I will approach them and see if I can get a weekly game going sometime in the mornings or something. That way it doesn't interfere with my family or work or my normal gaming time on Tuesday nights and Friday nights. So have a great rest of your day. Enjoy your weekend, and keep those dice rolling. Keep on enjoying the hobby to its fullest, and you all have a great one. Thanks for stopping in.